Me and Holly decided to do ours on multimedia database systems. A multimedia database is a database used for storing multimedia collections. Multimedia is a combination of more than one type of media. You can either have static, which is text or graphics, or dynamic, which is more of the music or videos. Multimedia database management is a software to manage, query, and retrieve multimedia objects from that database where they're being stored. Um, some of the things we're going to discuss in this presentation are the file types that are usually stored in a multimedia database. We're going to discuss the different types of multimedia databases there are, the objects in which the files are stored, the requirements of the management system, the purpose of the multimedia database management system, issues that are to be addressed with it, as well as a few of the management systems available.
And now talk about file type of data being stored, and text. The form in which text is stored can vary. ASCII file, professor file, and spreadsheets become more complex with different fonts available, allow color and size. Graphics that have better and regions with assembled 2D and 3D shapes. Various formats used by image and video editing application, assembled CAF and CAM, an image sequence of visual that represent a region in the user graphical display space for storing image varies beyond resolution, size, complexity, compression, assemble GBS, PMP, or TIFF, and continued audio have sound volume increasingly popular. 1 minute of sound can take up 2 to 3 megabytes of space. Assemble MP3, Windows, Media Audio. Video that raster images, graphics store a sequence of frames depending on resolution and the size. One frame can take up 1 megabyte. Transmission, compression. Decompression require continuous transfer rate for playback. Animation, change in the characteristics of objects over a period of time. Digital libraries, multimedia data repository for training, education, broadcast, and entertainment. Telemedicine, medical information systems store text information along with images taken with camera or X-rays. And new on-demand online news websites that allow viewing of previous news reports. Video on demand provided by cable and satellite companies, also online video service such as Hulu or Netflix. Music database, iTunes use a multimedia database to collect CD cover images for when users load their own music from a CD by searching track length and matching them. Rhapsody has a metadata store to get CD cover images, tags, name, and artist name. Graphics Information System store satellite images on maps.
And then for multimedia database, you can store it in a few different ways. One being a linked and one being an embedded. With a linked one, it's usually a database of metadata. The metadata then contains links to the actual source of the data that you're looking to look up. Some of the data sources you could have would be offline, which is CD-ROMs, hard disks, DVDs, stuff like that. Online would be such as using a URL or going out to a web page and pulling that information back. For the embedded side, you're actually storing the multimedia object in the database itself. It's just stored in a binary form. It's better for faster retrieval of the data because it's stored locally and doesn't have to go out and find it. But it also requires you to have a lot of storage space in order to accommodate those files. You can also have object-oriented or object-relational. Object-oriented, you're storing the objects using an object-oriented language, and then for the object-relational, you're storing the objects using a relational database querying language such as SQL, stuff like that, and that seems to be the more popular one used for most management systems. Some of the objects of the multimedia databases are a blob, which is just binary large objects, and these are all used in order to store your files. The blob is an unstructured sequence of bytes. Some of the database management systems can distinguish between two blobs, one being a regular and one being a smart. The regular, your application will receive all the information, all the data all at once, versus a smart blob gives you a little handle which allows you to read into the file instead of just pulling the whole thing back, and you can use the open, close, read, write, and seek commands and access small parts of it. You can also have a clob, which is a character large objects, just stores unstructured sequence of characters. There's also the nclob, which is national character large object, and that's used to store Unicode national characters. The B file is a file-based large object. Use those to store the files locally on your own operating system. You can also do an OLE, which is object linking and embedding. This was created by Microsoft, and it was used for allowing different data types from different applications to be used in a single document. Some of the requirements for the multimedia database management systems, you have to have the same capabilities as most management systems that don't store multimedia. You need to be able to do the data definition, data dictionary, data manipulation. But on top of that, you also need huge capacity storage management. Because of the size of the files being stored, you need to be able to control and manage those size files. You can do online, nearline, or offline for all your file storing. You can also do with putting small abstractions of the multimedia database into a higher level of the hierarchy. You can get faster browsing and previewing of the database content. And you also need to be it is also responsible for organizing the data stored at any level of the hierarchy within the database. Some of the query support and information retrieval, you need to, it can involve different types, keywords, attributes, content, or even contextual information. It needs to be able to accommodate any of those being used to query the database. Your queries are usually imprecise, so the difficulty comes when it tries to match up your query with the items that are stored in the multimedia database. The retrieval, usually what it's going to do is go out and compare what you've queried and look for similar or partial matches of that information to try and get you to what you're looking for. You also need media integration, composition, and presentation. Just a complex process that the management system has to do in order to meet all the needs of any user of that data management system, and just make sure that it can do what they want you to do. For multimedia query support, the multimedia database should have the ability to uniformly query data of varying formats, also simultaneously query different media sources and conduct classical database operations on them. For the interface and interactivity, you need a diverse interface for interacting with the database. Each media data type has its own method for access and presentation, so it needs to be able to accommodate those as well. Some of the performance requirements that are looked at when it comes to database management systems is the efficiency of it, the reliability of it, real-time execution, the guaranteed and synchronized delivery of multimedia presentations, also the quality of service provided to the users of that management system.
Continue on the purpose of a multimedia database system. And first one, integration the data items are not be duplicated during different programs. Data independence, the database and the management function separate from the application program. Concurrence control, multimedia database consistency through rules to allow current transactions. Persistencies, data object can be saved and reused by different transactions and program invocations. Uh, privacy, privacy control unauthorized access and modification of the stored data. Integrity control ensure consistency between transactions. Recovery failure of transaction should not affect the persistence data stores. Query support, the query mechanism are fixed for multimedia data and version control, organization and management of different versions of persistent objects. Issue in multimedia database management system, the data model must be insulated you from the detail of store device management and store structures. Organize the various data types. Some multimedia data types might require special data model for improved modeling efficiency and flexibility. The importance of interactivity in multimedia system makes their support by the data model an important issue. And multimedia object store usually they have the decompression involves loss of data, huge volume of data involves and constant certain multimedia data type imposed on the presentation makes multimedia object store a major issue. The problem involves finding optimal method for the multimedia object decomposition, allocation and relocation, and they have a limit available stores. Multimedia integration and presentation and QoS requires presentation certain amount of data within a given time for the presentation to seem natural to users. When the multimedia data are distributed and transported over network, and they have so they have network problem by limited bandwidth and statistical network delay. The multimedia database management system must support the specified QoS level and a QoS management service. Presentation different type of multimedia problem of media integration and synchronization. Another issue that multimedia indexing. Multimedia information can be retrieved using identify attribute keywords. This method created the problem like time consuming, access control, efficient search, and large volume. Issue in continue for issue in multimedia database management system that multimedia query support retrieval and browsing, and multimedia query support is a variable of a multimedia query language capable of supporting both the various media types encountered in the typical multimedia database. New requirements such as fuzzy query predicates. Different multimedia data types may require different query interface. The problem includes how to integrate the various interfaces in an integrated multimedia database system. And another problem that queries spatial data and context-based video query, which could involve temporal and spatial information. And another issue, distributed multimedia database management. To support the information requires such as distributed and collaborative environment. A distributed multimedia database management system have problems such as distributed and parallel query processing, distributed transaction management, data location transparency, data security, and system support. Efforts on various fronts have concentrated on the problem. Research on resource scheduling, operating system support for the QoS, yield of multi-level and user-level threats, input-output hardware to support the various media types involved in multimedia database, and communication network need to transport the data for the distributed multimedia environment.
And then some of the offerings out there for management systems on the market is one called Oracle Multimedia. It's considered a feature or an extension for Oracle Database. It's an object relational database system. It queries relational data, extracted metadata, and also media content. It stores files as a blob internally but it can also store them as a B file, HTTP server based URL, or user defined source of another external server if you choose. Also, IBM Database 2, they used to offer audio, image, and video extenders for use with Database 2, but have since discontinued them. They say that there's not enough features to make it worth their while to keep it out there and keep supporting it. It handles Blob for video, audio, and images, and then it uses Clob for text, but you need to get a different extender just for that. And then there are just a few others out there. I couldn't find a whole lot of information on them, but there's a few out there that are on the market that will offer built-in classes that allow them to handle multimedia files, such as Jasmine does that. Most multimedia database management systems usually offer an extension, cartridge, or data blade in order to handle multimedia files in a database. So pretty much you just end up downloading additional files to the computer, and that allows you to use that to access your multimedia files or arrange them and manage them and retrieve those. So that is it for our presentation.